Good afternoon, happy Tuesday, and welcome to Coffee and a Card. So we're here for another live where I am going to show you how to make a project and also some happy mail that's come, happy mail that's come in the mail. I guess that's a little redundant, but that's okay. So welcome to everybody as you are coming on, and Happy New Year. So in the Stampin' Up! World, October 1st is actually a new year. And so for those of us who are demonstrators, this is a Happy New Year. So to all of you, customers and stampers and all the people, Happy New Year. So for today, I have a card project to make with a couple versions to show you. But first I'm going to start with some happy mail. Actually before that, I'm going to give you a little summary, if you will, of there's so many things happening right now, you guys. So this month, if you have been thinking about wanting to save some extra money on your craft supplies, because we know we're going to buy them anyways, so why not get a discount on them? So this month you can choose $155 of product, and you're only going to pay $99 plus tax. You get free shipping, and that is what we call the best deal that Stampin' Up! Offers. It's the starter kit, and it's how you join my team. And then it's also how you get access to free classes and free tutorials that are available, and a monthly online community that you get for free as well as part of my team. So if you're interested in that, just click the link in this video. I point up because I think it might be up. Somewhere in the video there's a link, and you can get more information about that. There's also kit collections. So kit collections are new kits, well, they're just kits that Stampin' Up! Releases every month. So every month we get 2 new kits. They come in typically brown polka dot boxes, and every month, like I said, we get 2 new ones. Well, this month we did get 2 new kits, but also all of the kits are on sale. So up to 30% off, you can grab a kit. And what's really great is that they're affordable, they're convenient, they're all inclusive, and it makes it so easy to make some projects or card projects, 3D projects, treats. There's all sorts of options out there for you. So be sure to check out the kit collection kits. I think that's everything. There's new products coming up, so we'll be talking about those. But I think that's it for right now. Let's do some happy mail. So this first one is from Amy Siegler in Florida. You know, happy mail is what I call it when y'all send cards to me, because it makes me so happy to get to see what you're making and to show off your creativity to everybody here. So this first one, oh my gosh, I was totally going to use this in my Facebook Live today, but I switched to a different one, and I really want to play with this because October feels like fall to me, and this right here is like the epitome of fall. So what a cute card. That will be such a fun set to play with. That set is called More Than Autumn, if you're looking for it. Okay, this next card is from somebody who didn't put their name on it. Let's see here. See if there's a name on the inside. There is. Heather Robinson. And we got Stay Tuned for an Important Message. Fun little TV set. And it says Happy Birthday. And I like that with the little lightning bolts in there. And then we've got a card from no name. We'll see if there's a name on the inside of the envelope. This one is no. This is anonymous. If you don't want to be identified, that's fine. I'll still show your card on Facebook Live. So it says a little note to brighten your day. And you've got the combination there of stamped leaves and die cut leaves, which is really pretty. And then you got a leaf on the inside. There's a note too, but there's no name. So beautiful card, whoever you are. So, all right. So those are the cards that I have to show you today. And I am going to do something a little new for me. I don't know if I've done one of these cards before on a Facebook Live, but my dad is here visiting, and what that means is we've been talking about my mom a lot. So naturally, it's, you know, we like to share memories of my mom and think of her. Well, one of the things that she really loved is quilting, and I'm going to a quilt retreat at the beginning of November. I don't quilt. I can't even sew a button, let alone quilt, but I go to quilt retreats and I bring all my paper stuff, and I love watching all of the quilters make their quilt tops. Well, and not just the top. Sometimes they're doing the binding or the actual quilting. There's people who machine quilt and hand quilt and all the things. It's crazy. So I know a lot of quilting terminology. And so today I thought, you know what? I'm going to try making a quilt block because, well, I don't know, this might be kind of a fun card to make for the friends that I meet up with at the quilt retreat. It'd be fun to make them a little quilt themed card. So now the words are not going to work for my friends, but the card itself, the format, will work. All right, so here is the card that I've made. Don't mind my little candle here in the image. So here is my quilt block card. So now I know that there are some quilters on this video, and I'm probably going to kill you with how I butcher all these quilt terms, but just roll with it here. So my mom used to always call stuff like this half square triangles, which I could never understand because I was like, it's just a triangle. Why does it have to be a half a square triangle? But that's what we are going to do. Is I decided to cut some squares and see what we could make. Now I've shown you one. I'm actually going to show you two more different color combinations that we can make. So for this next one, I'm going to be using Blackberry Bliss, Basic White, Night of Navy, and then this paper, oh, let me grab the name here really quick. The paper I used on these cards is called Regal Winter, and it's absolutely stunning paper. I love this is actually front and back of the same paper, but I love the dark backgrounds with the leaves. I think it's really pretty. So that's what we are going to work with here today. All right, so we're going to cut lots of pieces. Let's start with a card base. And I'm going to use Night of Navy for my card base. Actually, you know what? No, I changed my mind. I'm going to do a Basic White card base because I want to use Night of Navy for something else. So this is 5.5 by 8.5, just a standard card base here. Okay, so then I'm actually going to cut this one. First thing I'm going to do is cut it in half, because then I can just save the other half for another card. Okay, so this first piece needs to be 3 7/8 by 5 1/8. So 3 7/8. Now, if you miss any of the measurements, you can always get them on my blog later, but I will say them a couple of times in case you want to write them down. So this is 3 7/8 by 5 1/8. Okay. All right. And then we are going to use our designer series paper. And again, I am using front and back of the same paper. I just grabbed 2 sheets so that I could easily show you front and back at the same time. So this is going to be 3 3/4 by 5. So we've got 3 3/4 by 5. Okay, 3 3/4 by 5. And then I'm also going to need this to be a 3/4 inch square. So I'm going to cut, let's see here, there's 3/4. We're going to cut 3/4 of an inch and turn and do it again. So 3/4 by 3/4. So I've got my first little square, okay? I'm also gonna need 2 squares of the back side. So I'm just gonna turn that over and I'm gonna do 2 more 3/4 inch squares. So 3/4 of an inch, just tiny little squares. Let's see. Okay, so I got 2 little squares here. And we're gonna go ahead and take those squares and I'm gonna put them together here. And I'm gonna stick them on an angle and we're gonna make our, I guess these would be half square triangles because we're starting with a square and we're cutting it in half. Okay, so there we go. We've got our 4 little triangles. I'll just set those aside here. Okay, next we need another coordinating cardstock. So we're gonna do another piece of Night of Navy. And this one needs to measure 2 3/4 by 2 3/4. So 2 3/4 by 2 3/4. Okay. And then we need a second color. And I've chosen this because it ties in with the designer series paper that we're doing. And this one needs to be 2 3/8 by 2 3/8. So a 2 3/8 inch square. All right. Almost done with cutting. We need a piece of basic white. Let me grab a scrap here. And this one needs to be 2 1/4 by 2 1/4. So let's see if I can get there. So we'll do 2 1/4 by 2 1/4. All right. I think that's everything we need for right now, but we can always come back to cutting. So I'm just kind of building my layers here. All right. So what I'm going to do before I tape anything down, I am going to do some stamping because I'm actually going to be stamping straight on my card base. And if I mess up, I want to be able to refold my card base. Ooh, let's see if we can get that. Oh yeah, that fuzzy will come right off. Okay, so if I mess up right here, I want to be able to refold my card base. That's why we're going to start with some stamping. So I'm going to use Blackberry Bliss. And this month I've been showing you, well this month, this is now October. September, I've been showing you a bunch of cards using Love and Strength. And I thought I would do that one more time. And so this is the stamp set that I am using, Love and Strength. Now, when I make these for my friends, I'll have to switch stamp sets because this is kind of a sympathy sentiment that I'm using. But I need some sympathy cards too, so this works really well. So sharing love and strength this season. I am here for you. And we're also going to put a flower here to tie in with the flowers on the front of the card. Okay. So that worked out. I don't have to refold my card base. But if I had messed up here, all I have to do is turn it over and this becomes the front of my card, which is going to get covered, you know, with layers. So I could have easily, you know, fixed it if I needed to. All right, let's start layering our pieces. So we're going to take our Night of Navy and our designer series paper. And I'm going to tape these together. And then I'll add it to my card front. There we go. Oh, Pam, it's years and years of practice. It's just the way that my camera works. So I've just Yeah, I've just gotten used to it, I guess. She's talking about the fact that I'm crafting upside down. You know, one of these days, we're probably going to change how we do Facebook Lives, because I want to be able to show you like my face and my project at the same time. And when I make that change, I've purchased the software that I need for it. But when I make that change, I'm actually going to have to start crafting right side up. And I have a feeling I'm going to get mixed up when I go to do that. All right, so we've put our Night of Navy. This was the 2 3/4 inch square. We put that on here. And then what we're going to do is we are going to take our white square and we're going to grab our triangles, and we're going to be putting our triangles, we're going to be piecing our quilt top, quilt block, whatever you want to call it. We're going to be making this shape. Okay. So I'm just going to take these off and add, so I'm going to try to do this so that you guys can still see, but basically I'm just making the corners meet the edge of my white down here. Try to keep that on straight. So when the corners are at the edges of that white, it ends up just where I want it to be. Let's see here. Try not to have tape goobers on the front of my card. So this is a pattern very similar to a quilt top that I found in my mom's stuff. So I thought, you know what, why not recreate it on paper? So this is kind of fun. So we're just putting these on each of the 4 corners. There we go. And one more. I always say that I think quilters have more patience than me because they have to do a lot more work before they get a finished product. We as card makers get a much quicker gratification, you know? Oh, somebody knows the actual name of this block. Kathy's calling it a churn dash quilt block. Yeah, that's what I meant. Just kidding. I had no idea. To me, it's called putting random shapes together because they look pretty as a pattern. All right. Now, the nice thing about this design is that it's actually quite forgiving. So if your points don't quite meet, which I'm actually going to move this one, but if your points don't quite meet, it's not a big deal. It probably is a big deal when you're sewing, but it's not a big deal in this design because the embossing is going to cover a multitude of issues. So we have this little quilt block here. And now what we're going to do is we are going to take the Cute Crochet embossing folder, and I'm going to be lining it up inside this embossing folder. There is, I'm going to point out on this paper, this flower right here, this flower square. That's what I'm going to be lining up my quilt square in on one of these. Now you could use one of the other patterns, most definitely, but I'm going to use that flower pattern, and I'm going to put the middle of the flower right in the middle of my square. So I can do it like that, okay? And I'm just going to grab my die cut machine. Make sure I put spine first with my embossing folder. It's a 3D embossing folder, so all I need is the gray plate. I think it's plate number 4. So I'll just push that through here. And here, let me move these out of the way. Okay. So, see if I can get this quilt block. I think it might have gotten a little stuck on my tape goobers. There we go. No, it's just super duper embossed. And look at what a pretty quilt block that is. No, just kidding. Here we go. So what we've done is we have embossed the designer series paper into the quilt block. So it keeps your design, your pattern very consistent. And what a pain it would be if we tried to emboss like all of these tiny little ones and then tape it all together. That would be crazy, right? Okay, so we're gonna bring in our Blackberry Bliss. This is our 2 3/8 inch square. And I will put my, we'll call it our quilt backing here. And then we'll put dimensionals here. And then I'll also put dimensionals on my tag, because we gotta have this popped up, right? I don't make a whole lot of flat cards. Generally, most if not all of my cards are going to have dimensionals somewhere, because I do love that popped up look. Okay, so we will put our sentiment down here, and then we'll add our quilt block. We'll put our quilt top right there. And then this happens to tie in just perfectly with these regal foiled dots. They come in 4 different colors. And I am going to use the Blackberry Bliss ones, although I could have used the blue. That would look pretty too. In fact, I think I will use a blue in the middle of the blue. I think I'll use a blue foil one right there. Okay, I'm going to fold this. Okay. And here we have a quilt block card. And of course, you could restamp this with any words that you want. I'll have to do that for my quilt retreat. Get some different words for my friends, but I think it'd be fun to make them each a quilt block card. So here's the sample with the Blackberry Bliss base that I showed you. And then here is another one with a Night of Navy and Black. A little bit more striking combination because you have less white inside of it. I think I just took it off camera, but here we go. So here is 3 different versions that you can make of this card. So all of the measurements, like I said, will be on my blog later today, and the replay as well, so you can watch that as well. So I hope you guys liked that card. I'd love to see your version of a quilt card. So I'll post a picture of these over in the community group, and then you guys can share your versions of this quilt card or even another quilt card that you've made, because I think it's kind of fun to see the different ways that we can piece our paper and make it look like we've made quilts. So super cool. Super cool. All right, you guys, thanks so much for tuning in today for Coffee and a Card. And don't forget to encourage one another and build each other up. I'll see you soon.